Okay, this is a side note, but can we just admire that scene where Wrecker was lifting the droid like weights? That was awesome. That was really funny. Hey fellow Force users, what is up? It's AhsokaTanoFan and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay, another Clone Wars video. It's time to review the Bad Batch. And they really had to make a whole ass arc, just humanizing the clones, making us fall in love with them right before they break our hearts and show us Order 66. That hurts. That stings a little bit. And before you guys watch any further, feel free to check out my other video where I discuss my thoughts and predictions regarding the new Bad Batch series. And also see the table of contents down below if you want to skip through the video. Can I just say that I really appreciate this arc so much more when I watched it the second time. Bravo to D. Bradley Baker for voicing all these fucking clones. He literally is so talented, changing up his voice just enough to give each clone their own personality and character, but not enough to make them sound like entirely different people. And that's exactly what the clones are supposed to be. So bravo to him, he did a great job. Let's start with the first episode, which is called The Bad Batch. So first impressions, let's start right from the beginning of the episode. What I really liked was that scene where Rex was looking at a picture of his brothers. I think he was looking at Echo, Fives, and Heavy. It just really humanizes the clones again and really shows them to be the family that they are. They're really portrayed as brothers and you really feel their bond way more than you did in the movies. It's just sad to hear Rex talk about how he's lost his brothers and how many more soldiers will have to die in this war. Just knowing that soon he's gonna end up losing all of his brothers because of Order 66. I love how Cody says, sometimes it's hard to be the one who survives. And it's such a true statement. Sometimes people forget about the mental scars on those that survive the war. You have to deal with all that loss, right? And that's what we see happen in Order 66. Rex is the one that survives, and yet look how much it weighs on him. Look at what he has to deal with, burying his brothers, after losing them, after having them turn on him and his best friend, Ahsoka. So it just again reiterates how hard it is indeed being the one that survives sometimes. I love the moments leading up to the introduction of the Bad Batch. They refer to them as Clone Force 99, which is actually nice because it reminds me of Clone Trooper 99 from back in season 3, I think it was. I don't know if that was a nod to him somehow.
"99, eh? Huh, nice touch."
You have the Bad Batch come in. They're not really like traditional clones. That's basically indicated in the way that they land their ship. Kind of dangerous and reckless sort of way. And right away I was kind of thinking, okay, I think I'm gonna like these guys. We see them come in, and right away they kind of almost give me like an Expendables sort of vibe. With Hunter kind of reminding me of Sylvester Stallone, also giving off like a Rambo kind of vibe. When they tell that story of them cutting off the Queen's stinger, I really liked it because in that one story, how each of them described what happened, that kind of gives us a little bit of a hint of what their personalities and their characters are like. So let me explain what I mean by that. You can kind of tell from how Hunter describes the story that he's the leader. He's the one that kind of starts telling the story, telling what happened. You can tell Wrecker is the more reckless one. No pun intended. You can tell by the way Wrecker so eagerly pulls out a sword and yeah, you have to cut them off with one of these, you know. You immediately get his more reckless kind of aggressive vibe, which is exactly what Wrecker is like. Tech is the one that likes to go into more detail about things, so he explains, actually they weren't trying to kill us, they were trying to mate with us, and that's kind of how he makes his entrance. And then of course Crosshair kind of says nothing, which is exactly what his character is like. He's kind of cold, calculated, doesn't really say much, but the way that he kind of kept playing with his toothpick kind of reminded me of Bane, because Bane used to do that all the time. So that was really cool. To me, they kind of represent what every clone has the potential to be. Super straight, super intelligent, super acuity. And then you have leadership, kind of like Hunter. Hunter is all kind of like Rex in that way. All of them together is really kind of what each clone possesses within himself. It'd kind of be like looking at yourself as a person and thinking of all the traits you have. Maybe you got a sassy side to you, maybe you got a really friendly side to you, and then creating a character for each of those personality traits. That's kind of what the Bad Batch is, and it's a great way to develop the clones. I find that when they were first shown, the music that played almost kind of reminded me of the Imperial March.
You too, sir. This is Hunter. Sorry we're late, Commander. We were putting down an insurrection on Yavik Prime when your comm came in.
There's a scene where they're arguing with each other right after they rescue Cody. It's interesting, I find, how they don't really listen to Rex and Cody, but everybody seems to listen to Hunter. And it kind of, from that one scene, basically showed me that Hunter really seems to be the one that is the greatest leader of all of them. And I think Rex is probably used to either he or Cody kind of fulfilling that role, but now they're kind of in this new environment where they have these clones that are challenging their authority, and maybe perhaps they're not used to that, and that's what kind of causes them to bicker the way that they did. I love how Rex was determined to get to the bottom of whether or not Echo was alive, and then at the end there, it's a nice moment where he hears Echo saying CT-1409, and he knows that's his friend, and he's not willing to give up, and it just raises suspicion. At this point, we don't know, is Echo alive? What kind of state is he in? And then, of course, we actually find those answers in the next episode, which is A Distant Echo. I love the droid humor. To me, it is one of the things that makes the Clone Wars so unique, especially when compared to the Star Wars movies. Even the droids have personalities, guys. That's how good this fucking series is. They give everybody and everything character development to the point where you really feel for them. There's a scene later on in one of the episodes where Wrecker is about to kill one of the droids, and he's like, no, not the face, not the face.
It's all clear!
Not in the face!
That was so sad, poor droid. I think this episode was really good. I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10. It was pretty solid. I think there was good action. The one thing I found that was missing during certain parts was the music. There were a couple moments where I thought, oh, this is an action scene. Where's the music?
You're not on the right.
I don't know if you guys noticed that too, but that happened on multiple occasions. That was the one thing I thought was kind of odd. So this episode I enjoyed as well. I love the fact that Anakin continues to remind Rex basically not to let his feelings get in the way of the mission. Ironic coming from Anakin.
Thank you, Master.
You look troubled.
I lost R2 in the field.
Well, R2 units are a dime a dozen. I'm sure you'll find a suitable replacement.
I could take a squad out there, track him down.
So let me get this straight, Anakin. You risked the mission, all your men, even your Padawan, to save a droid.
Now I will combine this holocron with the memory crystal I acquired from your dead Jedi friend.
Clovis, no.
Get away from her!
Anakin, no! Both of you, stop it!
Are you alright? There has been a change of plan. Sorry. You will not understand what I have to do to end the Clone War.
What have I done? I will do whatever you ask. Good. Just help me save Padme's life.
So Anakin, you're one to talk. And then of course we actually see that nice touching scene between him and Padme. He says he's concerned about Rex letting his emotions get in the way. She says, I wonder where he learned that. So Padme also senses the irony. And speaking of that scene, she definitely looked hella pregnant there. And she was also wearing the same outfit that she wears in Revenge of the Sith when she confronts Anakin on Mustafar. And it kind of just shows us where we are in terms of how far away we are from Order 66 and the events of Revenge of the Sith. He really, really cares for this woman. He would do anything for her. It kind of just again reiterates where Anakin's priorities are and where his emotional attachments lie. I know that initially there was supposed to be a nose art scene of Padme that was deleted and never made the final cut.
The Naboo senator. We check her out on the holoscans.
Yeah, she can negotiate with me anytime.
That is not staying there.
I thought the scene was pretty funny.
Okay, so basically, initially, Padme was not going to be in Season 7. The only depiction of her was in the deleted nose art scene. Ultimately, Dave Filoni did not want the sexual depiction of her to be her only appearance in the season, so he ended up creating the scene with Padme and Anakin on a secret call. As it says in this article, the nose art scene was supposed to be a nod to World War II pilots, many of whom would have images of women on their aircraft as a reminder of what they were fighting for back home. But ultimately, this scene never made it to the final cut and was instead replaced by the scene showing Anakin and Padme on a call together. I will say though, it's a shame they couldn't keep both of these scenes in. Just imagine Anakin getting a lovey-dovey with Padme on their call together, only right after for him to see the nose art and get pissed off and be super jealous. That would be hilarious. I wish we could have seen it. Okay, now back to the rest of the video.
I like how Obi-Wan says, I at least hope you told Padme I said hello. It just shows how much Obi-Wan knows Anakin more than Anakin thinks he does. You see in Revenge of the Sith, he sees Padme pregnant, he immediately knows Anakin is the father, isn't he? You know, that saying almost has so much more meaning now. And Obi-Wan has probably known for some time that Anakin cares for Padme. I don't know that he knows that he's married to Padme, but he at least knows there's something there. When Ahsoka left the Order in Season 5, and Anakin said, more than you know, I understand wanting to walk away from the Order, and she says, I know. And that also implies that she might know that something is happening between the two of them, Anakin and Padme. So Anakin, your feelings for Padme are not that hidden. A lot of people are onto it. So anyways, they go to Skako Minor. These species are a species that does not want war, and they look at the Jedi as potentially bringing war to them. Which, where have we heard this before? Season 1, Defenders of Peace, when the Lurmen wanted to stay neutral as well. And they had that lead guy, I can't remember his name, sorry. But he refused to get involved whatsoever because he just wanted to stay neutral literally to the end. The Separatists were willing to kill them and he was gonna just die, I guess, because he didn't want to join the Jedi's war. So yeah, it kind of reminded me of that. Eventually you have to pick a side in these kinds of things, which is what ends up happening. They do in fact pick a side. I love how they agree there's going to be no casualties with these villagers, but then when they're there to rescue Anakin, Wrecker, I think it was Wrecker, pushes like a big ass rock down at the villagers. Yeah. Kind of like in the finale arc when Ahsoka's like, I'm not trying to kill anyone, and then she sends a piece of the wall flying at the clones. Crosshair is actually such a dick for saying that he would have left Echo for dead too, because he's a reg. Oh, I like him, but man, that was so cold. Obviously, the last time we saw Echo was in the Citadel. It was heavily implied that he died because all we saw was his helmet. We soon find out this is not the case. I think it was revealed in the Untold Stories that he was alive, but after they go and trace the signal of the algorithm, they end up finding Echo. And this part was really, when I saw it for the first time, I was a little bit shocked because he looked so creepy the way they portrayed him. It was definitely not something for children. Are there people out there that still think this is a kid's show? You really wondered what the hell had they been doing to him this whole time. He seems so happy that Rex came for him. It's like he never gave up that hope that his own brother would come for him, and then Rex never gave up that hope either. And that's kind of like what the fortune cookie says, right? The search for truth begins with belief. That's exactly what Rex did, is he continued to believe. He never gave up hope, and that's a theme in the Clone Wars and Star Wars too, is there's always hope and you can't give up. I really like Tech. The way that he was opening those doors and he was scanning all that information, it really reminded me of something that R2 would do. He really is super useful, and then again just shows the potential of every clone. I think the title of this episode was brilliant. A Distant Echo obviously has dual meanings. One is referring to Echo, and then the other referring to the faint signal that they got that led them to Echo's location in the first place. In a way, it can be looked at as him kind of calling to them for help, and it was heard as a distant echo. I couldn't have named the episode better myself. If I have to give this episode a rating out of 10, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10 again. I think these were pretty solid episodes for the most part. Dare I say it, because Ahsoka was not in it, and usually when she's not in it, I don't like it as much. Okay, so now the next episode, which is On the Wings of KEERADAKS. Can I just say, the way that Wrecker smashed that droid really reminded me of the way that the Hulk smashed Loki, if you guys watch Marvel. Hilarious. And again, just a nod to his character of how like goofy he is, you know, blunt and abrasive, but he's really useful when you need him. He really is the muscle of that whole group. I like how Hunter is referring to Tech, his tendency to record everything, and he says he films everything like it's a hobby, or he records everything like a hobby. That part was really funny. Kind of reminds me of every typical millennial, kind of like me. Okay, I like how Anakin destroyed that walker at the end of the episode. It actually reminded me a lot of the Clone Wars movie. He does something very similar. I do find he went a little bit easy in this episode and kind of in the arc in general. There are several times where I thought that he could have basically handled everything on his own, but I think that had he gone in there and had he like destroyed all the droids himself, I think it wouldn't have really allowed for the clones and the Bad Batch to shine. And this is really supposed to be their arc, so it was nice that the clones kind of got their moment to shine and we got to see them take down the droids as well. By the end of the episode, Echo's now coming along with them, and Rex says, yeah, it's gonna be just like good old times. And I thought that was kind of really sad. I know that's how Rex wants it to be, but obviously given that Echo has been through so much, he's clearly not the same person. The everlasting theme throughout this whole series, the Clone Wars, is the theme of characters changing. We always see characters starting off one way and ending off another, and they end up finding a new path on their own. And that's exactly what Ahsoka did when she left the Order as well. And then when she comes back and sees Anakin for the first time, he's kind of the same way that Rex is. He kind of wants things to go back to how they were. And she kind of almost, you know, to her, knows that that can't be the case because she's not 100% the same person she was when she left the Order. Another solid episode. I probably give this one an 8 as well. It was good. It had nice moments. Again, more action, more droid humor. I like seeing how they interact with Echo and how him and Rex shared that scene together at the end. So now the next episode, Unfinished Business. This is my favorite one of the arc. Because we got to see some dark side Anakin as well. I noticed that actually every episode in this arc starts kind of the same way. It's in that hangar area, which is kind of interesting. I feel like it makes it feel more movie-like. Every episode we're kind of starting right where we left off, sort of. I was starting to wonder if Echo was really with the Separatists. What's the name of that? Stockholm Syndrome, I think it's called? When you end up forming a relationship with your captor. He's been with the Separatists for so long and they're literally using his mind. I think the Bad Batch kind of have good reason to question him, but it's nice that in the end he proved his loyalty to them. It's like as Anakin said in the finale arc, that loyalty means everything to the clones, and that's exactly what Echo showed by coming through in the end and showing that he was on their side all along. My favorite part of the episode was the whole sequence that lasted kind of from the middle to the end of the episode with when Mace Windu is talking to the droids. And it was a pretty funny scene because you have Mace Windu actually taking the time to give the droids a chance basically, and then they just don't hear a word he says. It says blast him, you know, like that was pretty humorous. Again, the droid humor, top notch this whole arc. When Echo convinces Trench to have all the droids go to the hangar bay at once, when you see all the droids in the hangar bay, it really shows how overwhelming they can be in numbers. And that is something that Ahsoka said back in season 5 when they were training Lux and Steela and the rest of the rebels in Onderon. And I think it was Saw Gerrera that said that, if I'm not mistaken, I think he had said that something about how the droids don't look so tough to him, and then she said they make up for it in numbers. And that was really shown in the last scene because there's a lot of them there. It was cool to see how they were able to think of that in the end and disarm all of them at once. And then just again shows how Echo was on their side. So now, I love the scene when they disarm the bomb. Here's where Darkside Anakin comes. I love his whole interaction with Trench. It's very Anakin-like to forcefully extract the information from the enemy. Especially in Season 2, Brain Invaders, when he's trying to figure out from Poggle the Lesser how to kill the worms, basically, that were on board Ahsoka and Barriss' ship. So I like that scene when Trench was like, I'm not going to tell you, Dooku would kill me if I did. And then Anakin said, you think I won't? They show little moments like that that show just the kind of dark tendencies he has. And we see it again in the final arc as well when he cuts that Separatist droid's head off. And they do a really good job showing his slow transition into Darth Vader. And then, of course, he killed Trench. Poor Trench. But I knew it was coming. Especially when you try and shock him. Like, what do you think is going to happen? You think it's a good idea to shock the guy that just cut off your arms? No, think again. I have to wonder, would Anakin have killed him had he not shocked him? Because with Anakin, I don't really know. He might have just killed him anyway. But certainly he sealed his fate when he tried to shock him there at the end. I love the scene where Crosshair set up a bunch of those reflective surfaces, and then with one shot, just bam, killed all the droids. That was pretty cool. The series continues to take me by surprise and show me things that I don't expect. I love seeing how they approach these different battles and the different strategies they use. We gotta talk about the ending scene of this arc. It was sad. Echo is a different person now. He's no longer a reg. He's different. He's part robotic. He's been through a lot. He's not really normal, and neither are the Bad Batch. That's what makes him so unique and special. It's such a beautiful moment for Echo's character, for the writers to have him join with the Bad Batch in the end. And that's exactly what happened with Ahsoka walking away from the Order. And I feel like Rex kind of accepting Echo's decision here reminds me of Anakin having to come to terms with her decision to leave as well. Rex, he risked a lot by engaging in this mission in the first place to bring him back, and then now to kind of go through all of that, to have your friend leave. It's kind of sad. And I feel like that was kind of the Bad Batch and the traditional clones coming together as well. Although they kind of look different and they seem different, they're all clones. They're all the same blood. They're all brothers, and that's what's so beautiful about that whole scene and this whole arc. It really brings all the clones together despite their differences. For those of you who haven't watched, in the original ending, it basically shows all of them being presented with medals and then the clones cheering on for the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch, they basically say that those traditional ceremonies are not really their kind of thing. And so that scene to me almost would have been a little bit of like a corny way to wrap up the arc, having Echo join them at the end. That was like a way better ending compared to the original ending. I'd probably give that episode like an 8.5, 9 maybe. If I had to rate this arc overall, I'd probably give it like a solid 8 out of 10. Arcs like this kind of remind us, that it's a lot more than just the Jedi and the Sith that are fighting this war, and you got to give the backstory to the soldiers as well. That was the big problem with the Star Wars movies, is they didn't really do that. When they executed Order 66 and Revenge of the Sith, you didn't really feel much for the clones. They kind of just seemed like heartless robots that were just programmed to do whatever. Now when we see Order 66 happen in this series, it's so much more heartfelt, so much more emotional, because we're able to see these characters grow and develop, and the idea of them having that brotherly bond and fighting alongside the Jedi as family, it just makes the idea of them turning on the Jedi that much more painful. Damn you writers, that's why I had that reaction that I did in the series finale. Let me know your thoughts down below. As always, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I will respond to the comments and I will subscribe back as well. And until next time guys, take care and see you in the next video.